request a transcript. I was able to try to request it online. You needed the student's name, and I believe you also need their social. And when I typed it in, it said no results found. I asked Legion, what's the deal about San Diego State? He was like, what are you talking about? And I said, why is there no records of you there? Just came right out and said it. Without missing a beat, this man said, well, I was a private citizen. What the fuck does that mean?
A lot of people, and I was asked not to because this has brought a negative light on the school. People who go there brought negative light on people I work with. Now, my brother, his job, my other brother, his job, my family, my aunts, my uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, children, everybody.
Children.
So
what about the arena league? Do you have like a picture or something from there that
I told you before when I talked to the owner of the team, he asked me, hey, because you got fans returning tickets because of this stuff with Teresa. I'm not going to stop another.
Wait a minute. He asked you a straight up question.
the arena league? Do you have like a picture or something from there?
Do you have a picture?
I told you before when I talked to the owner of the team, he asked me, hey, because you got fans returning tickets.
He completely did not answer that question. I told you before, the owner said, hey. He asked me, hey. What does that mean?
It's because of this stuff with Teresa. I'm not going to stop another football player from eating.
This is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. So a picture of you playing arena football is going to stop somebody else from eating. It's going to stop somebody else's bag. A picture of you playing arena football. Okay.
I was asked not to, and then legally I had to sign paperwork that I wouldn't.
What, like disclose like the teams you were on?
Hey,
I was asked not to.
God.
Because you had people, it wouldn't have gotten that far, but you had people, and as it was told to me, you got people who jumped on and said, oh, it's going to be a Tubi movie. Oh, it's going to be Netflix. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And that's not true. But the point is, you got people, you got owners of a team. I'm not going to be portrayed in a bad light. And they don't want to be. You see what I'm saying? Because that means they got to answer questions. And again, it took me so long to do a response video because I had people come to me and say, not just you, some other people say to me, hey, let me get your side of the story, but they weren't credible. A digital creator. No, we're not. You're not telling the truth. I had to look you up before we did this to see. I had a cousin offer me to do something, but I'm like, nah, you might be in it for money too. And that's not the case. I'm not here for money. If I make money off this video, okay, but I'm here because, again, I want my family left alone. Money is not my issue.
So from that transition, do you was it a certain amount that you saved that you would disclose or no?
No, I'm not going to disclose how much I saved. I saved enough to get the springboard into life because after I stopped, I was 6 months without a job and I was good every day. And I was able to buy, finish paying off the house out there and do a lot of stuff, go on vacation. I got a job and I enjoyed that job to the point where it became a career and I loved it every day.
For him to say that he appreciates law enforcement so much, it was obviously a lie, because the criminal history showed that he had been arrested for criminal trespassing. He had been arrested for suspended license, suspended registration, but the big thing was impersonating an officer. If you don't know anything about impersonating an officer, it is a felony. Period, point blank. As sure as Peachtree runs from Bankhead to Buckhead, it is a felony. So, seeing what court it was in, I did another open records request for the incident report. I wanted to know exactly what the circumstances were, especially given the fact that I worked in law enforcement at the time. What were the circumstances as to how he was arrested for impersonating an officer? So I did an open records request. I got the incident report. And
you know what? This made me realize once you're married, there is is no like secrets. She could go to the whatever police office and request for information of his back records of what he got arrested for. She's getting the police report. She's getting records of who he's married in the past. Like, getting married, you have access to a lot.
I'm tired of saying my jaw hit the floor. But on this one, my jaw hit the fucking floor.
You said that your current girlfriend had did the background check. So the weekend jail in the story, was that a thing?
That was a friend of mine that used my license, and he had to do weekend jail, not me. And I took him because he did not have a car. So I would drop him off because the jail he had to go to, you couldn't leave your car. So I would get off work, drop him off, pick him up Sunday, 6:00.
So that's what the receipts or whatever those things were in the bag. That's from him.
Gotta be kidding.
Yeah,
me.
and that wasn't. He used to come to my house and dry clothes and wash clothes, and he left his bag.
You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Do you need to provide fingerprints to do weekend jail? Okay? That's the question. The inmate will be escorted to the booking area for fingerprinting, photographing, and medical evaluation. You have to get fingerprinted to go to weekend jail. If your fingerprints do not match your identity, they are not taking your friend to jail. What the heck? Most departments today use electronic fingerprint systems. This guy is a fool. He is a fool.
And that was all that was in it, was a folder with that stuff, because he had to prove that to his job that I can't work weekends and I'm in weekend jail. That's it.
As far as the like the impersonating the officer story,
that's something she got. That's something that happened with D, and she just used that. That's not me. Never
so
did
that's
that.
not you either.
Nope.
Okay, because that Tashawn guy had said the same thing.
You know, he done been in trouble a few times. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I had not yet gone online into the court system to see what type of trouble he's been in. And so he explained to me, he was like, just run his criminal history and you'll see it for yourself. He said, because I don't know all the charges, but run his criminal history.
There's certain family members, admittedly, that I don't deal with.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people, and they're going to hear this and probably have a problem, but I don't have to lie. Again, there's a lot of people on my mom's side of the family that I absolutely just don't deal with.
Mm-hmm.
If you swap your 9 to 5 for a 5 to 9, that is the easiest path for.
There's some people on my mom's side of the family I do deal with. I got a cousin that called me up, and he was like, I'll do a video with you and help you out. And he really trying to help. Like, but he my little cousin, he cool. He always been the same dude. I can tell you from a little kid to a grown man, he always been the same dude. I joke and call him Cool Breeze because, I mean, I'm telling you, he can come into a room and be, you good? Yeah, you good. And he just, that kind of family member. If I ever wanted to call him and say anything to him, talk to him, ask him, he always just been that dude. He a married man, love his kids. He a good dude. Like I said, I got nothing against him because he one of the people in my family that he might be younger than me, but I can tell you.
I am disturbed hearing this man speak. I am so disturbed. He's just listening to someone like this talking this long. I'm going through it.
Right now, dude is wise as the old owl.
Mm.
You know who I'm talking about because we just talked today on the phone. And he offered, let me do the video with you. You get this money. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't in it for the money though. And the way they spinning it, like I'm this horrible person, Legion, Lord, he narcissistic. How many times I'm wrong a day? Like most of the day. I'm wrong all day long. I let her Like, even though I'm the man in the relationship, I allow
I feel so bad for that woman. I feel so bad for her. And she's over there laughing and giggling.
her to leave because I don't know. I think I'm good at being wrong, but I don't mind because you got somebody stand beside you that will, and I trust her enough that if I don't know, she know.
Girl.
I'm a man who I can admit that I'll fall short somewhere and she'll pick up. She's smarter than me anyway, and I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. As long as one of us know, that's cool. You know, I'm gonna start calling her Google because stuff I don't know, I just be like, hey, or Siri.
So he pulls up. It's only been a week since I last saw him. It has been months since my aunt saw him. Okay? She had no idea of the condition that he was in. Again, I'm telling y'all, when I met him, when he met my family, he was like a size 3X. In just a short span of time for a week, he easily could have been in an extra large, maybe even a large, but was wearing 3X clothes.
So you mentioned the knee. There wasn't an issue. So was the losing weight story? Was that a real thing?
That's going to the gym because you realize you're overweight and you want to be thinner. That was me looking in the mirror, not happy what I'm looking at, and then I went to the gym. Like, I was at one point like 310. I was like, no. And I started going to the gym after work.
How much did you weigh?
And I was like, no, gym. Like, I was at one point like 310. I was like, no. And I started going to the gym after work. There's nothing else but me going to the gym, eating better, eating right. Stop going to McDonald's, dodging Krispy Kreme, Mrs. Winter's Chicken down in Atlanta. That's it.
But so that makes sense. But she said in the condition that she seen you
I
losing
want a
weight.
cookie now. I'll be right back.
Weight was you coming back with the same clothes and not smelling like you've been living in the car. Like, so was that true or no?
Lies.
You said that you left. So
That's a big ass elaborate lie.
basically you sleeping in the car and everything after you moved out, that was not a real thing.
No. I went home. I went to Douglasville. I went home.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the behavioral, I think she said you went to a behavioral correction hospital or something like that. That wasn't true.
Lies. The only thing I did at a behavioral hospital, I knew a guy that went there and I helped him get a job. He got out. He knew a friend of mine, Omar. He asked him for a job. I got him a job.
Was this part true then? Her kicking you out on June 2021 on your birthday?
No, I was gone a week before that. I went home to my house.
He dead ass just made that up on the spot. I was gone a week before that.
Because the marriage didn't last very long, but it didn't grow because I was still doing the same thing. Because before that, I went home to my house because the marriage didn't last very long, but it didn't grow because I was still doing the same thing. I was still at my house coming there on the weekend. There was no growth on her part. The finances, there was no growth. I was maintaining the bills in the house. I didn't need her help, but again, I asked her for help because I'm taking care of everything here. By that time, I had bought her another car because that Nissan Rogue just drove me nuts. And she was paying too much, so I got her out of that, which made a lot of stuff easier. And she liked that car, and I was trying to consolidate to show her, hey, this is, you can live well, but you don't have to spend all this money all the time. Like we talked about it, and we talked, like I said, we talked about moving into that house, my house. I'm trying to show you a better way of living. If you got a wife and you have a better way of living, you're supposed to show her. You're supposed to. The thing is, they offered a promotion, she didn't take it. She started working more and bringing in less.
What made her not take it though?
What she told me is that her boss was an idiot and she hated him, and that meant that she was going to have to work closer with him. What she told me.
At the time that this all happened, I was pregnant. So he felt like, look, we're about to have a baby. I don't want you driving that Nissan Rogue to get you something. I want to get you something more secure, something new. I really wanted a Kia. And he was like, well, let's look at the warranty. This man knew a lot about cars. He knew a lot about the warranty. He knew a lot about the depreciation value. And so he did talk to me a lot about what will we get the most for our money. He really wanted me to get a BMW X5. So he calls Eric. He tells Eric in front of me, hey, I need to transfer $72,526, whatever the amount was, because I'm buying a car for my fiance. So he said, okay, well, let me call them back and change the delivery date. Can you be home, or can you do a half day?
Oh, I want to know.
So he's asking me, can you work a half day so that they can deliver the car and you will be home for it? He told me the car would be delivered between the hours of 1 and 3.
This game, you're not ready.
You did get a car. Didn't she get a car? I'm just saying. So I mean, if it's a promise, then it sounds like I kept my promise. Not trying to be mean or anything. You got a car. Now the car she wanted, no, because you're not helping me out here. And that I'm gonna make it affordable for myself. And there's no disrespect to nobody driving a Nissan Altima, because the 2020 and on above, they're very nice cars. She had everything, Apple CarPlay, everything, all-wheel drive. I mean, auto start, everything. But I'm not buying you no BMW, and your credit stinks. And
So
I'm trying to get you out of debt, because if you're
wait a minute. He just said he never offered to buy her a BMW.
in debt and we're married, that means we're in debt. So I'm trying to get you out of this hole, so financially you can be stable. You can't help me if you work in a job and you making $33,000 a year and I'm making 96. There's a big old difference here. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to get you, when they offer her the promotion, like I said, why didn't you take it? I found out later why she didn't take it, because you were spending extra time with this dude.
So was the BMW ever talked about? Did you ever promise her like a better car or a more expensive car?
I told her all the features that she were talking about. I said, you will fit better in a BMW. But I said the challenge about putting you in a BMW is, and trying to teach her something is, you got to work for it. You know, I'm not going to just give you an $80,000 car because I'm your husband and you deserve it.
I'll be damned if a man who looked like that told me I need to work for something. Shut your goofy ass mouth.
I understand that part, but you got to learn the value of a buck. We just can't go out here all the time. You got to understand the value of something, and you don't want to work for it. So help me help you. Because right now at this point, I'm taking care of all these bills here. I'm taking care of, help me help you. How do we do that? How do we come together and bring these finances together? Now, the only part of that story that she told that was true, did I hide money from her? Yeah, I did. I absolutely did. Over 50% of what I was worth, I hid from her. I did.
And what kind of marriage
And were
is
those
that?
in the offshore accounts and stuff like that?
Yes.
So did you do that because you felt like she wasn't financially smart with what she had? And
That's the main reason. I'm gonna say this for any man that's gonna watch this. When you get married, you do not need to financially. You need to tell her about all your finances. I'm telling you that now. That wasn't right on my part. My reasoning is my reasoning, and I'm not saying it was right. I think it was wrong, and I should have disclosed it to her. But we're talking about somebody that I got married to. You had about $401 in the bank account. You had credit card debt, student loan debt, and you paying $550 a month for a 2009 Nissan Rogue with 250,000 miles on it. Like, she wasn't making financial smart decisions when I met her. I was trying to help out. Taking care of the bills is this way to stress off of her. The only bill I actually gave her to do is, hey, you take care of the grocery bill, you pay your cell phone bill, and you pay your car insurance. The rest of your money you put in your pocket. Do what you got to do with it. I'll take care of the rest. But you need to take care of these student loans. This is why I did that. You need to take care of these.
This is like the only sensical thing he said in his entire life.
Student loans to bring your credit up. So this way we can be a team when it comes to stuff like that. But again, like I said, I don't want to get nobody make the mistake. I'm not saying that, hey, not telling her about all the money is the right thing to do. That was absolutely wrong. But at the time, I wasn't trying to jump down the rabbit hole of being in her debt.
This is not someone that you forget. This is not a situation that, man, I don't even remember him. No. What I don't remember is the version of myself before I met him. Nothing so far has turned out to be true. The only thing that Chris was able to tell me is true is that, number one, yes, there is a brother in Philly, him. Yes, there is a brother in Nashville, the twin. Yes, both parents are deceased. That is what I was told from the beginning. Those pieces of information are true. And the uncle, he said, which uncle is he talking about? Because if you guys remember, back in one of the parts, I talk about where he said his uncle was giving him advice on why he should not open up his savings account to let me see it. He would not let me see it. And so I'm telling Chris about the uncle, and he was like, that uncle been dead for years.
Oh my gosh.
I told him about Junebug. He said Junebug been dead for years. And I said, Chris, he was having conversations with Junebug on the phone in front of me. He was like, it wasn't Junebug.
what's the whole ordeal with Junebug?
Who?
They were mentioning Junebug, and that was somebody you frequently talked to, and she was saying, man, ain't that crazy what happened to Junebug, as if like he had passed away.
I don't know who the heck that is. I don't know nothing about that. The only person that passed away is a friend of mine. His name is Eric. He was in a car accident.
Junebug was supposed to be family.
No, nobody in my family called Junebug. Eric was a friend of mine who was in an accident. He went through a rough.
You know what? We need to do an interview with his girlfriend, because what story did he tell you? What version of his life did he tell you? Which side of Legion did you get?
Time. He was a military guy. PTSD bothered him. Me and a lot of people that knew him, we tried to get him help. He drunk a lot, and one night he got drunk and he just off the road. Fatal car accident. I went to St. Louis to bury him with a lot of friends of mine. She knew about that.
Can you repeat that story again, please?
You gotta excuse me on that one. That's a really good friend of mine. He somebody that I gotta say, if I had to say best friend, he was one of them. He real supportive dude. He had a rough life, honestly. Alcohol.
I have been dying to go to London and Paris. This is something, if you know me, you know she wants to see Paris, she wants to see London. So I get home from work. This is the beginning of March. I get home from work And on the counter is a folder with like a little bow on it. And I'm like, oh, what is this? Is this like mail? Like, was this something that you got at work? He's like, nah, it's a surprise for you. I open up the folder. Inside the folder is like a trip itinerary. It is not an actual booked trip. It's like an itinerary. A trip for two to go from Atlanta to London.
So what about the London trip? Was the London trip ever promised?
I never said nothing to her about going to London.
Hey, you have an hour this week, right?
Yeah.
Great, I can teach you how to play 100 songs on piano in an hour. No.
Why do I keep?
Y'all never
getting
talked about
surprised
going
by
on a
this
trip.
man?
Y'all never talked about going out the country or anything.
Savannah. Back to Philly to see family. Never say anything about going out of the country.
So where you think she's getting these things from then?
Good question.
Well, I read the story that the lady put up about her husband, and I'm getting the word that now that Teresa copied a lot of this story from this woman's story. But as far as her and I discussed, we never discussed it, not once. Where's she getting it from? Your guess is as good as mine. Or just to make her story sound better, I guess. Because that's all I can gather, because we never had those discussions.
What would she
So,
gain from
when we
telling
got
such an
married,
elaborate
the
story?
first 2 weeks, like I said, was fine. And then it's as if something snapped. Totally acceptable before. Suddenly, little comments were made. Why are you wearing that to work? You get off at 3:30, so you'll be home by 5, right? Things that had never happened before. He had never questioned what time I'm gonna be home. When I'm off work, I leave. So, he would call me every day from work, and I'm going to demonstrate how those phone calls went, but he would call me every day from work. And if he even so much as heard a male voice in the background, he would have little comments to me. Who was that? Are they in your office? Man, I never know who's around you. It seems like every time I call you, there's some man around.
Someone's wife approached me. One of her coworkers' wives approached me. I had just went to her job to take her to lunch. We went to lunch, went back, dropped her off, went on about my day. I was in the parking lot of her job. A woman approached me, she said she needed to talk to me. And at first I was like, who are you? What you want? She kind of told me a little bit, and she said, you really want to talk to me? I did follow her out of there because they worked at it's a complex for Georgia State Patrol. Follow her out of the complex, follow her to a Burger King. We sat in the Burger King. She broke out her phone. She showed me the teddy bear camera thing. And it's Teresa and her husband they having sex. It's
What the hell?
and this ain't the first time she been there. This woman's chronicle through all of this. Now, when I found out about it, I didn't say nothing to her. I went on every day for about 2 weeks. I wrestled with how to say something to her. So the woman kept reaching out to me. Have you said something? Have you said something? So she said, I'm not going to wait. So she blasted her husband. I don't know. I think they got into a fight. I don't know the whole story. All I know is she put him out, and she called me and said, I'm on my way over to Teresa's house, excuse me. And I know they there right now. You best get your ASS there because I'm about to go.
Oh, wait a minute! He just got caught up in his own lie.
Called me and said, I'm on my way over to She put him out, and she called me and said, I'm on my way over to put him out. And she called me and said, I'm on my way over to
He lived there.
to Teresa's house, excuse me. And I know they there right now. You best get your ASS there because I'm about to go kick in the door. I go over there. She had not got there yet. I go in the door. I go upstairs. She in there with him. They doing their thing. I just shut the door. I come downstairs. Now I'm mad at this point. And before I could react, the lady comes, knocks on the door. I open the door. She ready to push past me. We get to tussling because I'm trying to tell her you can't go upstairs. She ready to go upstairs and do something to both of them. I end up calming her down. He come flying downstairs. He come flying out the house. He jump in his car, and she don't say nothing to me. She was like, I'm about to get his ass. And she just jump in her car and she give chase. I don't know what happened with them two. Whatever happened with that, I know later on they reconcile and they together and they live in Charlotte. I know that was the end of
and they live in Charlotte.
That relationship with Teresa and him. Teresa come downstairs. She said, you don't know what you seen. And I'm like, well, you came down in the bathrobe when you told me you're supposed to be at work. You clearly not at work. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave. I'm going to just leave. I don't want to do nothing to you. And I'm a black man. It's Atlanta. I don't want to, I was angry. Yeah, I was angry. I mean, I was real angry. I mean, I flipped over a couch. I mean, because she kept falling around the house. And I said, let me get the hell out of here. I got in my car. I left. Took the long way home.
This story don't even make sense.
285. I got home and I blocked her from my phone, everything. And I just had nothing to say. And I went silent on her for 2 whole weeks. When I contacted her again.
Say that story again.
We met in Cobb County. We sat down, we talked. She apologized and I told her, I don't know if I can get with it. At this point, I went down, followed her back to the house. I took a lot of stuff of mine out of the house. The only thing I left in there was a TV and some clothes. We started going to counseling. The first counselor, she didn't like it. She didn't like the lady because the lady told her after about 3 sessions, the lady was like, well, the calls y'all hear is because you cheated. She tried to say it was because I didn't tell her about money. But the lady was like, well, both of y'all wrong. You wrong for cheating. You wrong for not telling about money. She didn't like that. We got a second counselor because she didn't like this lady. The gentleman, it kind of went the same way. She didn't like him. So then we got a third counselor, which is a pastor and his wife that he used to be a co-worker of hers. So we started doing like Zooms like this because even though COVID was dying down, they thought it'd be better if we meet like this. So I would come over and we would sit down in front of the computer and we would Zoom in and we would talk. After a couple of, I'd say about 3 months of this.
The whole reason why this interview is so long is because this interviewer is letting him ramble on about nothing. He needs to get pressed.
It's been a little longer, but I think it's about 3 months of this. In the counseling, it just seems like she wasn't budging.
What was she not budging on though? What was her issue?
He is in the bed, sleep. I get his phone. I ain't gonna lie. I got his phone. He had a work phone and he had a personal phone. It was the work phone that he had from the condiment company that apparently was never turned in. But he did not wipe the phone, if y'all know what I mean. And I see this would have been text messages. Text messages between him and a woman named Peaches. I'm reading the thread because he's knocked out sleep. So I'm in the bathroom with the door locked, reading the thread. Apparently Peaches, there's no nice way to say it. Apparently Peaches was a prostitute. In the text messages, she's listing the prices. He asked for a hand job. She told him it would be like $40. He asked how much would it be for oral, because it was $60 and $80. One was the price with the condom, one was the price without one.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house, no matter what condition it's in.
The story that she told about finding something in my phone, no. Me and my coworker that I work with every day, Richard, I grabbed his phone, he grabbed mine, because we didn't keep case on the phone. We had the same, everybody had the same exact iPhone. I picked his up off the desk, went home. He had some mistress call his phone, and that's when.
So how does she know the password to your phone? How does she know the password to that phone then? Stop it! Stop! Your friend's using your license. Your friend's using your phone. Where does it stop? Damn.
When I realized it wasn't my phone. So I hit him on his line. I said, somebody calling your phone. And he's like, yeah, we switched phones. I need to come get my phone. And I was like, well, you can come get it. I'll give it to you at work tomorrow. So I met him at work the next day. He was like, yo, like,
Interview
I'm
wants
sorry,
to
you know,
laugh.
it's my
The interviewer
side
wants
chick,
to
whatever.
laugh.
And I'm like, bro, I don't want to know nothing about that. You know, just take your phone. And I just quoted company policy. You know that we're not supposed to use these for personal use. So because those company phones, you got a different
Face.
iCloud, but the HR has that iCloud, so they can see your messages. So at that point,
And this is
I
an
get
iPhone. Is this an iPhone? You cannot be serious. How did she get into the phone then, Legion? Or whatever the heck your name is. How did she get into the phone? She knows your coworker's password?
get home, she tell me I went through the phone or whatever, because we weren't allowed to lock those phones either. So she went through the phone. I guess he was sending messages to the mistress or whoever, and then she assumed it was me. And I'm like, no, that's him and whatever. And he actually came over and told her, hey, look, I'm apologize. That's a chick I'm dealing with on the side.
Oh,
like
he's
he
so
explained
ridiculous.
that. So
He's so ridiculous.
So that's the story about Peaches, right?
yeah, that's some chick he was messing with. That's
Yeah.
that's some chick he was messing with.
So you already talked about that and reconciled that.
Yeah, the only reason I had contact with her is because afterwards, one day I was getting off work and she was in the parking lot looking for him. And I just told her, like, you gotta get out of here for security show, because we had a secure parking lot, and I'm like, you gotta get out of here before they get here. And that's the only contact I ever had with her. I found out later that she didn't take the promotion because her and the guy, that would have cut into the time they were spending time together. Because she used to tell her mom that I was never home. I leave the house 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll be home 3.
Wait. I can't even keep up. I can't even keep up.
2:45. So she worked till like 3:30. I wouldn't see her till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. She'd be like, I'm at work. It were all signs, but I ignored them because she was my wife, and I'm just saying she's trying to work hard. But your hours didn't match, because she would get paid, and they would give her a stub. They do the direct deposit, but she would get a stub. Now I had access to her account. She had access to the 2 that I let her know about. So I would see the stub, and then hours would add up. And then, you saying you're making more money because you're working hours, but your hours were the same. Her schedule never changed. She didn't do any overtime. She didn't have to work over on special projects. None of that.
Pretty much everything we talked about so far is a lie, according to what you're saying.
Unfortunately, yes. Why this? In my opinion, this was done
I'm getting pissed.
simply because I left. I said enough is enough.
But why so long? But why so long though? Because you left a long time ago. It wasn't like it was yesterday.
You'd have to ask her. When I left the situation, it ain't no secret. I said to people before. I called friends of mine, friends back in California. Talked to both my brothers, or they're not my.
He always has a friend. He always has a coworker. Like, what are their names? Who are these people? You just making up anything.
My brothers, but we're just gonna say Miguel and Elgin. But I talked to them. Because my friends back in California. Talked to both my brothers, or they're not my brothers, but we're just gonna say Miguel and Elgin. But I talked to them, because they were my confidants. Another friend of mine, we talked. Another buddy of mine, Omar, we talked, and it was just the consensus was that I couldn't do it anymore. I called her cheating. It was too much. I talked to the guy's wife. She had caught them. She showed me video of them 2 in the house together. Everything. Her, if she was ever wrong, anything. She kept talking about a work phone and all this stuff. And I'm like, I gotta have 2 phones for work, because I'm not gonna. It's just my job. The nature of my job. I had to have 2 phones. Simple as that. She had a password to both of them.
It is very hard to comprehend.
So you have the same password as your coworker?
And that everything is a lie. Like, there has to be something that's true. Still July of 2021. I finished going through the book bag. There were some other folders with papers in there. He had left the work phone. What I actually found out was that it was not a work phone. It was simply a secondary personal phone. He told me it was a work phone. I thought that the company was paying for the work phone, but I found receipts where it was a prepaid phone and he's paying to add minutes to it. So it's just receipts of, you added minutes to the phone on this date, you added minutes on that date. Work phone, whole thing, that was a bold-faced lie. Obviously it was a lie because, as we now know, he was a forklift loader.
Were you ever like a forklift driver? That's what somebody was mentioning.
The charity work that I used to do, I got a forklift license because the charity work I used to do, they load the trucks and they send them to disaster areas. They feed the homeless. So I learned to drive a forklift doing that kind of work. And then I got a license to do it. I even got a license to train other people to do it. But that was charity work. That's me doing charity work, me feeding homeless, me helping people out. And I just wanted to do something. My mom was that kind of person. And for me, it just made me feel good. It wasn't about recognition. It's just something that made me feel good.
You talking about the picture? You talking about a picture?
Yeah, it was a warehouse because they pack up food to give to disaster areas. So yeah, you got to wear a hairnet. And that particular picture where I had it on my face, we were just playing around that day.
Because I did see something where somebody was mentioning they work with you as a forklift driver, and that you said, hey, I don't even have to be here. I have enough money to where I don't need to work, but I'm just doing this to just have something to do.
A lot of people, Teresa, got roped in on this story and lie. Unfortunately, this started, I left her. She didn't contact me, and we went through a whole year. I didn't hear nothing from her. Divorce was final, everything. She got what she got out of it, which was I left her with 10 grand. And she can do what she can do with her car. That was it. Clean break. We were done. Wasn't nothing, no fight, no argument, nothing. I told her I couldn't do it no more. Went down, got last month. I told her I'd be back for the rest of my stuff. And it was at her crib, and that was it. I was done. It did not work for me. And instead of trying to make it work, I just said enough is enough. And I left. She agreed. We actually shook hands. She hugged me, told me, take care of myself, stay in contact. And I honestly said to her, I'm not going to do that. I told her to take care of herself, and I told her my best advice for her is please financially get yourself together. That's the very last conversation we had. So get yourself together financially, because I didn't mind taking care of you, but at some point the deal was you were going to step it up, and you didn't do that. The cheating part, that was too much to deal with. If I would have still been married to her and I'm still paying bills today, I still would have been working with her to take care of that if it needed to be. Because when you got a wife, that's what you're supposed to do. But the cheating, then you go into the marriage counselor, you're not admitting anything. You still trying to place the blame. You keep talking about this, talking about that. You ignoring the real truth. Did I hide money from her? Yes, I did.
So what was the point of the marriage counseling then? If you knew, hey, I'm done with you.
I was trying to save the marriage, honestly. I was. I get, like, honestly, I guess I can say, hey, I wanted to forgive her because I wanted it to work.
Hey, Rico.
But after, you don't want to admit to anything, you're not wrong. You don't believe that you're ever wrong. It's not going to work. And once that happened, I left. That was it. My birthday was coming up. I just left. I took a trip. I came up north, saw some family, came back down, found a job, and was on my way back up. The paperwork was in. Then she went and filed on her own and got the divorce, which is fine with me.
So she filed.
Yeah, I filed, but I didn't finish because I was in a car accident.
Okay.
When I was moving back up, when I was my last trip coming back up here, I was in a car accident. So I was in a hospital. I went to someone's wedding. Went to a buddy of mine's wedding. I was an accident. I was injured pretty badly, and I had to get You had to get 4 surgeries and learn to walk again and do all that.
But you weren't with her at the time. She wouldn't have like used that as an example to what you were talking about with your knee.
She knew about me being in the hospital. I was in an accident because at the time on my medical paperwork, she was still listed as my wife. So they kept her in a loop until I told the doctor and the social worker that we were no longer married. and they stopped contacting her.
Family.
That's enough lies for today. That's enough. And then when he was asked the first time, what's the whole situation with the knee? He's like, oh, I can't remember a situation other than it was snowing outside and I slipped and hit my elbow. Oh, so you didn't mention that you were hospitalized and you had to learn how to walk again? That's, oof. That is ridiculous.